This video explains how to recognize the root, quality, and inversion of open spacing triads. So let's just kind of go through this worksheet that'll show us how to do this, and we'll just kind of learn it by doing it, because that's what we do here at this school. So what this is you've got a grand staff and you've got some chords on here. So we want to figure out three things for each one of these. First of all, what is the root? Second of all, what is the quality? Major or minor, right? And third, what is the inversion? Okay, so we want to figure out those three things for each one of these chords. The way that it's laid out is we've got these chords in open position, so they're not set up in triads. I mean, they don't look like triads, but they really are. And if you play them, so if you go E, E, B, and then we've got a G sharp way up here. So that's just a triad. So what this and the way that we can tell is by using this scratch staff down here. This is just kind of a staff that we can put our notes in. So if we gather all the pitches, we've got an E. We've also got a B. I'll put that in there. We want to order them on the staff. We'll keep the lowest note down here, okay, in the staff, and then let's add the other pitches that are there. So you've got an E and a B. We've got an E and a B. Let's duplicate it, and then the G sharp is one that is not in there. So let's put in a G sharp here. I can. Okay, so there's our G sharp. Okay, so look, we've got an E, G sharp, B. And the way that we've got it spaced out here is that there aren't any spaces in between these notes, right? We've got a space, space, space. So we know that that is in root position as we've looked at it. So the bottom note we can find out is an E. So we'll put E. And then we know that that's an E, G sharp, B. And in the key of E, G sharp is sharped in the key of E, because E has 4 sharps, right? And G is one of those sharps, so we know that's going to be a major triad. Also, we can look at it a different way. E to G sharp is a major third, and G sharp to B is a minor third. So that would be a major triad. Okay, so there's our major triad. Now, what inversion is it? Well, E is the lowest note, so that's the root. So we'd say that's in root position. Let's do one more. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. Okay, let's do another one here. We've got C sharp, C sharp. Let's just put these pitches in. E, C sharp, E, and then that's all the pitches that we have. So this is a good exercise, because if you just have 2 pitches and they're a third, then we will imply the 5th. It's like the 5th is missing, and I'm going to show you how. So if we've got a C sharp and an E, okay, we assume that the E or the G, the 5th, is going to be played. And if you listen to it, you can actually kind of hear the G sharp in there. Can you hear that? Right? Right, so when we have triads like this, we don't oftentimes need the 5th. We just need the 3rd. Okay, so we've got, and so in that case, C sharp would be the root, and we would say that C sharp to E is a minor, C to E, C natural to E is a major third, C sharp to E would be a minor third, so we're going to call that a minor. And C sharp is the root, so let's call that a root position. Yeah? Okay, let's try one more. The next one is, looks like we've got an F down here, and we've got a D. I'm going to put the D up here. And it looks like we've got an A, so I'll put the A here too. Okay, so we've got a D and an F and an A. Now this is kind of the F is the lowest note, so I'm putting the lowest note down there. But if you look at this, we've got a line, and then there's a blank line. So that's not in root position. If we were to put it in root position, then that would be a D down here, right? So we would have to say that this is the root of this chord is D, and the quality of the chord, is it major or minor or diminished or augmented? Let's try it. D, F, A. D to an F we know is a minor third. The only major thirds that we have on the white keys are C and an E and an E, or an F, sorry, and a G, right? All the other thirds are minor. So that's major, 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 and the other thirds are minor. Minor, and then minor, right? So C natural, or D to an F is a minor third, and we get an A, so that would be a D minor, and we've got a perfect fifth from the D to the A, so that would be a D minor chord. And what inversion is it? Well, which note is in the bass? Which note's the lowest note? Well, that happens to be the third of the chord, so that means it would be first inversion. Let's see if I can write that better. First inversion. Okay? So we've got our D minor chord, and it's in first inversion because the F is in the root, or the third is in the root. Okay, so that's kind of how you go through that. Let me just review quickly what we're talking about with major and minor triads. Okay. Okay, so when we talk about major and minor triads, I'm just going to review what it is that makes each one up. So we've got let's just take an F major triad. Here we've got an F to an A. Remember, that's one of our major triads, or major thirds, I should say. Right? And then our A to our C, that's one of our minor thirds. Okay? So a major third and a minor third, when you put them on top of each other, that here from the F to the C makes a perfect fifth. So anytime you've got a perfect fifth with either a major or minor triad, you're going to have, or major and minor third, you're going to have a major or a minor triad. Okay? Now the diminished and augmented, let's just go there, and we're going to make this diminished. So actually we'll make it augmented. We'll add the C sharp. We've still got our major third here. Right? But this time we've got a major third here too. So that makes this interval, this F to our C sharp, an augmented fifth. That makes this an augmented triad. This is a major triad. And if you switch those two, that'll make it a minor triad. Now when we go to diminished, that just means we have two minor thirds. Right? So we've got a C to an A flat. That's a minor third. And we've got our A flat to C flat, or F to A flat, sorry. And then A flat to C flat would be another minor third. Right? So that makes this a diminished fifth. And that gives us a diminished triad. Okay? So as we are going through this exercise, and we start stacking these thirds, then we'll be able to figure out if they're major, and we've only got 4 choices: major, minor, augmented, or diminished. Right? Major is a major third on the bottom and a minor third on the top. Minor is switched, minor third on the bottom, major third on the top. Augmented is 2 major thirds, and diminished is 2 minor thirds. Okay, so that's how you do that part. Let's go down to this next part. You got a couple of those. 3 of those. Okay. This time you're just you don't have that scratch staff, so you can look at these and do the same thing. And I wouldn't mind if you just needed to pencil some things in here. So, for instance, we've got a C, a G sharp, and a C, and it looks like there's an E up here. So I would just like take a little dot and put that in there. So now I've got a C, E, G sharp, and there aren't any spaces in there. So that's root, third, and fifth. So I would go C, augmented, and what position is it in? What inversion? Well, it's in root position because the C is in the base, and that's the root. Okay? If the root is in the base, that's root position. If the third is in the base, that's first inversion. If the fifth is in the base, that's second inversion. All right. Let's look at these. That's kind of the same thing. Now this one. Sometimes we don't see the chords all in... we don't see them in stacked, right? These are arpeggiated. So what we do is we group all of these together. So we'd say all of these pitches, what kind of a triad is that? And we don't have to worry about inversion on this because with the root it doesn't really matter too much. I mean, with an arpeggiated one, it doesn't really matter. So we gather all these pitches together. It looks like we've got an F sharp and an A and a D. Now that kind of looks like a triad, except we've got a space, space, oh, and then there's an empty space. So let's pull that D down. Just make a little D here. D, F sharp, A. Oh, well that's a D major chord. Actually, well, D major. Right? And so you can do that with all of these. Gather all these together and make sure you're looking at the key signature too, because that key signature goes through the whole thing. And then on this one, the key signature goes through the whole thing here. Right? Here's an accompaniment that we talked about. Boom, chuck, chuck, boom, chuck, chuck, right? And so we can look at that and figure out what the triad is there too. Looks like we've got a G and an E flat and a G. Well, if you just got 2 pitches, then how do we figure that out? Remember, which pitch is missing? It's actually the fifth is missing there. Okay, so we've got an E flat, G, and a B flat. So I would say that's an E flat is the root, and the quality is major. Even though the G is down there, the E flat is still the root because it's like, no, sorry. Right, you can kind of hear the B flat. Yeah. Okay, so you can go through and do those. And then in the next video, we'll talk about the next part of it.